Well, hello my friends on YouTube. Today a maintenance video, I think we could call it, or modding video, although I don't think that doing CRKT's work is modding, but more what should have been done. But anyway, now I'll do it for them. And the issue with this CRKT Ripsnort is, as I told you in my review, that the edges inside are extremely sharp, and that goes for the whole knife all the way through. So to me, a bit of a problem that it is so sharp and is very uncomfortable. So I'll go along and show you what I'll do, and you can take you along, and I will do some time lapses as to not make this way too boring. And without further ado, let's start with that. The first thing I noticed was this one with the Ripsnort is that the pocket clip is a major hotspot. So the first thing we'll do is to remove that. I know that will make it float in my pocket, but I think that's better than the issue with the pocket clip. So let's take this off. It uses torque 6, and off it goes. We put that to the side, and I of course remembered my coffee, so I'll have a sip of coffee. Now that's much better already, but let's continue. We'll start with the pivot screw, and I have to tell you that CRKT, in some of their knives, they just round the pivot in Loctite. Not the issue on this one, but be aware of that. Not the only knife maker who does that. Let's put that with the pocket clip, and then we go to torque 6 for the scales. Put that aside over there, and let's put the screw back where it belongs, so I remember. And then we have some other screws inside the liners, and we're about in business here. Oops. More than less, this came apart quite easily. Yep. And we have the stop pin and the liner, and as we can see, a lot of holes. It is a very thick liner. Take the knife and take the blade, sorry, and we notice that it has plastic or Teflon washers, but I don't know why they couldn't afford to give us some phosphor bronze washers, but that's the way it is. I'll just keep them there. And let's take out the pivot, and as we can see, it has a D shape to keep it in place when you take it apart. That's also a good thing, not common on all knives. I'll just, yeah. Then we take off the back spacer. You know what, I'll see if I can do that without taking off the other scale, but you can of course do that here, and then with a pair of tweezers you can take off the standoffs here. But let's try it out without that, just to make it a bit easier on myself. And then, yeah, I can feel the sharp edges all around. You could take a Dremel, and I have, well, sort of a would-be Dremel lying somewhere, but before that I'll just try with an old stone from my Lansky sharpening kit, because I got a new diamond kit, so let's see if this can do a bit of work instead.
A few moments later.
What is interesting is that there's actually kind of a burr on this on the corner here, which means that I am in fact sharpening it a bit. So I'll just try to at least put the burr inside so that it doesn't go out into my hand. Starting to feel a lot better.
A few moments later.
And then we try the other one. Same spots, same places. That means almost all over.
One eternity later.
The pivot hole is a bit rough, but that's inside. Well, I think it's a lot better now. Let's have a sip of coffee. Cheers. Let's put this together, and this means for this washer, plastic or nylon washer, I usually use some nano oil. Grease is just too thick and influences I got plenty there, and influences the action. I think that was a little too much. Let's just take a little off. Yeah, I tend to use a lot of oil in my knives, and yeah, that was a lot of oil. And you can disagree, but well, let's put it where it belongs. Yeah, on the other side might be it. And I just give the detent ball a little bit too, and that is a choice you make based on how hard the detent is on your knife, because if you lubricate it, will of course be even smoother or lighter if the detent is light in advance, and that might influence the action of your knife, so be aware of that. But I do it on this one. Now let's put it back together. As I said a long time ago, this is the backspacer. Goes like this, and then we have the pivot sleeve, would you call it that? And remember to roughly align the D shape with the other liner, and that is going that way, and that is where I put the liner. So then let's put in the blade, and there's a size difference between the two, so I of course use the size that was on that size side in advance, and then I put on the smaller washer on this side, and no, I don't think we'll need that more of that lubrication. We need a stop pin, and the position of that gives itself more or less like this, and then we have to put everything together. This is a nice knife. You can just at least to disassemble, you can just do it the sandwich which way. And let's see if we can align it. Suddenly everything usually clicks into place. The spacers in the back fell in place, And I need some more coffee for my voice, I can tell. Let's put the little screws back inside. It really helps to have a magnetic, sometimes at least, it helps to have a magnetic screwdriver. And I just tighten them. They won't go anywhere because they are inside the scale, but of course I tighten them a little bit, just enough to make them stay there. I don't think Loctite is needed in that location. Then we have the scale, and luckily the magnet caught that screw. So we will put the scale on and put a screw in here. So, and last but not least, the pivot screw. And I'm going to play a little bit with this knife, and then I'll figure out if I need to put some Loctite in it. Just it's very loose, and of course it's to one side. Just put it like this, and then I tighten it a bit more. I think that was quite enough. And well, it's definitely too tight. At least if I want to get any decent action. Let's have a look, see. Well, the action was never stellar to begin with, so I'll just give it a little more. Unfortunately, this does something to the sensoring, but I do like that the action is okay. Yeah, better action. And a little bit of blade play. And sensoring is not stellar, but that's about the best action I can get. I have to put in some effort, but yeah, it functions. And how about the, oh man, that was a lot better. That really helped in the ergonomics department. That pocket clip is a pain in the whatever, but at least it's not sharp in my hands anymore. And I know that this was capable of a very good ergonomics, but the issue was the sharp edges. That's a lot better. Not stellar, but much better than before. Well, that's how you do CRKT's work and puff off their inner scales. I hope you found this remotely interesting. At least you saw how to disassemble a knife, and if you couldn't do that in advance. I think I'm going to enjoy this knife a bit more now. And with that, have a nice day, evening, whatever it is in your country. Bye bye.